When the sacred pot is broken, the water shall spill and never return. The land will cry out, but the clouds will not hear. Welcome, friends. Today, we journey to the high desert plateaus of New Mexico, home of the Zuni people, guardians of an ancient way of life rooted in harmony with earth, sky, and sacred water. For centuries, the Zuni have passed down wisdom through story, song, and ceremony. Among their most powerful messages is the broken clay pot prophecy. At first, it speaks of spilled water, of drought, of loss. But beneath the surface lies something deeper. A warning about what happens when we forget the sacredness of nature and break our relationship with the elements that sustain life. This prophecy is more than poetic. It's a spiritual mirror held up to the modern world. If this message speaks to your spirit, please like, share, and subscribe. Your super thanks donations help us keep indigenous voices and earth wisdom alive. Let's listen. Let's remember. Before the pot breaks beyond repair. In Zuni belief, as in many Native American traditions, water is not a resource. It is a living, sacred being. It is often seen as feminine, a giver of life, a keeper of balance. Springs are the earth's birthing places. Rivers, her veins. Rain is not just weather. It is the sky's prayer, falling to nourish the land below. Water is more than substance. It is spiritual presence in liquid form. And so, the clay pot in the Zuni prophecy carries deep symbolism. In Zuni culture, pottery is not merely utilitarian. It is ceremonial. Each pot is crafted with reverence, often by women, using earth, water, fire, and prayer. A pot holds not only water, but spirit, tradition, balance. To break the sacred pot is to rupture that sacred relationship between people and the living elements of the earth. The spilling water is more than a drought. It is the drying up of reverence, a spiritual drought, where the clouds no longer listen, because we have forgotten how to pray with gratitude. This prophecy is not just about clay or water. It is about what holds us together and what happens when we forget. The land will cry out, but the clouds will not hear. This haunting line speaks to more than just drought. It speaks to a deeper ecological silence. The earth, wounded and parched, groans under centuries of extraction, pollution, and neglect. She cries for healing, but the sky does not answer. Rain does not come. The sacred dialogue between earth and sky, once balanced, has been broken. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is a mirror of our time. Mega droughts in the American Southwest. Depleted aquifers once filled with ancient waters. Dry riverbeds where salmon no longer return. Climate chaos with rain that comes too late or not at all. But this prophecy is not just about weather. It is about spiritual deafness. When we live without gratitude, without prayer, without remembrance of the sacred, even the clouds stop listening. The prophecy reminds us, when we forget our place in creation, we lose the language of harmony. Though this prophecy may have been spoken generations ago, its truth rings louder today than ever before. Across the globe, and especially here in the United States, we see signs that the sacred pot may already be broken. The Colorado River, lifeline to over 40 million people in the West, is drying at alarming rates from overuse, drought, and mismanagement. Indigenous water rights are often violated or ignored, as pipelines like the Dakota Access Pipeline threaten sacred waters, as seen in the struggle at Standing Rock. Sacred springs and wetlands, once protected by prayer and tradition, are drained and destroyed for mining, agriculture, and unchecked development. Rain no longer comes in rhythm. Seasons shift, clouds hesitate. These are not just climate disruptions. They are signs of spiritual imbalance. Because in Zuni and many indigenous traditions, water isn't just liquid. It is relationship, memory, spirit. the spilling of water, is the spilling of reverence, the forgetting of our sacred role as stewards of the earth. These are not just environmental issues. They are spiritual warnings. In Zuni and other Pueblo cultures, life is built upon covenants. Sacred agreements between the people, the land, the spirits, and the Creator. These covenants are not written in books. They are remembered in rituals, sustained in ceremonies, and honored through a way of life rooted in balance, respect, and reciprocity. To break the pot is to break the covenant. It is to live without gratitude, to consume without limit, to take without ever giving back. And today, we see these covenants broken on many levels. Through industrialization without restraint, through disregard for indigenous wisdom and teachings, through the commodification of what is sacred. Water, land, air sold, polluted, extracted. Modern society has forgotten the language of relationship. We see the earth as a warehouse, not a mother. We act as owners, not caretakers. But the prophecy reminds us, when these sacred agreements are broken, there are consequences, ecological and spiritual. It is not just the pot that breaks. It is our identity, our role in the great circle of life. Let this be a moment to remember who we are. Is there a way to repair the sacred pot? In Zuni tradition, true healing does not come through force, it comes through ceremony. Restoration is possible, but only through humility, prayer, and the rebuilding of right relationships with the ancestors, the spirits, the elements, and the earth itself. A broken clay pot may never hold water again. But with care, reverence, and intention, a new vessel can be formed. One shaped not by greed, but by gratitude. The prophecy is not just a warning, it is a pathway. Here are 5 sacred lessons we can draw from its wisdom. 1. Water is life, not a commodity. Water is not a product. It is a living spirit, a sacred relative. To treat it as property is to dishonor the source of all life. We must protect rivers, restore wetlands, and defend indigenous water rights. Let the water flow not just physically, but spiritually. 2. Restore ceremonial living. We must return to living with intention. Ceremony is not limited to temples or altars, it is how we walk, eat, pray, and act. Whether it's lighting a candle, offering tobacco, conserving energy, or simply giving thanks, we can begin to live prayerfully every day. 3. Listen to indigenous voices. The Zuni, Hopi, Cree, Lakota, Diné, and many other nations have carried sacred earth knowledge through fire, famine, and colonization. Their prophecies are not superstition. They are spiritual science, the result of generations observing the land with reverence. To listen is not enough. We must honor, support, and amplify these voices, not as outsiders, but as humble participants in a shared future. 4. Live simply, live lightly. The broken pot is not only a symbol of ecological collapse. It is the consequence of spiritual excess. To restore balance, we must shift from consumerism to conscious living. Walk more, waste less, share, reuse, give thanks, take only what you need. In simplicity, we rediscover sacred rhythm. 5. Return to the circle, not the line. Modern society follows a line. More growth, more extraction, more speed. But indigenous traditions live by the circle. The seasons turn, life gives and returns. Nothing is wasted. All is connected. To return to the circle is to remember that we are not outside of nature. We are part of it. The prophecy of the broken pot does not end in despair. It ends with a choice. We still have time to reshape the vessel, to honor the water, the earth, and each other. Though the prophecy warns of drought and silence, it is not without hope. The clouds can return. The sacred pot can be made again, but not through technology or force, only through the heart. As the Zuni elders teach, we must learn to walk gently. Speak humbly and listen deeply to the land, the waters, the winds, and the quiet wisdom of those who came before us. This is not just an indigenous teaching. It is a human one. We are all shaped from clay and water. We are all children of sky and earth. And when we forget this, we don't just thirst physically. We thirst spiritually. The world does not need more conquest. It needs more reverence. The prophecy is not meant to scare us. It is meant to awaken us, to remember, to restore, to return. Ask yourself, what have you taken without gratitude? What part of nature have you neglected? What sacred rituals, once meaningful, have you forgotten? And most importantly, what vessel in your life needs to be remade before it's too late? The Zuni prophecy is not just about water. It's about remembrance. It's a whisper carried on the desert wind, a gentle voice from the ancestors, asking us to return before the clouds are forever silent and the land too dry to speak. But there is still time. Time to live with reverence, to restore the broken pieces, and to shape a new vessel with love, humility, and care. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this message stirred something within you, please like, share, subscribe, and consider leaving a super thanks to support this sacred work. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your remembering matters. Let us become keepers of the sacred once more, before the last drop falls.